Can I get through this awkward meeting with Dorit Kemsley's ex, without him bringing up the drinking again? Because when the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Dorit Kemsley reportedly met up with her ex-husband Paul Kemsley, it wasn't just a casual catch-up. It quickly turned into a tense moment that has fans talking non-stop, and not in a subtle way. Allegedly, during this already awkward meeting, Dorit accused Paul of drinking again. And just like that, the temperature in the room and online shot up. Let's break this down carefully, because there's a lot of emotion, history, and speculation wrapped into this one encounter. Dorit and Paul have never had what you'd call a simple relationship. Over the years, their marriage played out in front of cameras, headlines, and endless commentary. Viewers watched the glamorous trips, the luxury lifestyle, the affectionate moments, but they also saw cracks form. Tension, rumors, strain. When two people live so publicly, every disagreement feels amplified. And when they separate, the world doesn't exactly give them space to sort it out privately. Their split wasn't some quiet, low-key transition. It was layered, emotional, and filled with unanswered questions. Even after stepping away from each other romantically, their lives remained intertwined in ways that make a clean break almost impossible. Which brings us to this meeting. From what's been circulating online, Dorit and Paul sat down to talk. Details about what prompted the meeting remain unclear. Was it about closure? Logistics? Something personal? Whatever the reason, sources say the atmosphere was tense from the start. Then came the moment that set everything off. Dorit allegedly confronted Paul about drinking again. Now, that's not a small claim. It's not casual conversation. When someone brings up alcohol use, especially in the context of a relationship that's had past struggles, it carries weight. Emotional weight, trust weight, stability weight. If Dorit truly believes Paul may have relapsed, that concern doesn't come out of nowhere. When you've shared years with someone, you tend to recognize subtle shifts, changes in tone, changes in behavior, little details others might miss. On the other hand, if Paul feels wrongly accused, that's not a light thing to brush off either. Being confronted about something so serious, particularly if you believe it's untrue, can feel deeply unfair and hurtful. And according to reports, Paul appeared visibly taken aback when Dorit raised the issue. Some fans interpret that reaction as shock. Others see it as defensiveness. Without actual footage, it's impossible to know for sure. But in the age of social media, speculation fills the gaps fast. Within hours, fans were dissecting the interaction as if they had been in the room. One side believes Dorit had every right to bring it up. They argue that if she noticed something concerning, staying silent wouldn't help anyone. They say that relapse can be subtle, and that raising concerns might come from a place of care even if it's uncomfortable. The other side thinks the timing may have escalated things unnecessarily. They question whether an already tense meeting was the right moment to introduce such a serious accusation. Some wonder if emotions from the past colored the present. What's undeniable is that this interaction hit a nerve. And maybe that's because their relationship is still raw. Breakups aren't always clean, especially not when you share history, shared responsibilities, and years of emotional investment. Even if two people are no longer together, the emotional threads don't always snap immediately. Sometimes they linger. Sometimes they tangle. Sometimes they flare up when least expected. It's also important to acknowledge that discussions about alcohol use and relapse are serious. They're not storyline twists for entertainment. If there's a real concern, it deserves compassion and privacy. If there isn't, then public speculation can be damaging. That's the tricky part of being in the public eye. Private conversations can become public narratives overnight. For Dorit, bringing up drinking even privately could quickly become a headline. For Paul, being publicly associated with a potential relapse carries its own heavy implications. And that's where the pressure of reality TV complicates everything. When you're part of a franchise as visible as the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, the line between personal life and public consumption blurs. Fans feel invested. They feel connected. They form opinions based on years of watching interactions unfold on screen. So when something like this happens, it doesn't stay small. It becomes a debate. It becomes a trending topic. It becomes a storyline. But behind the commentary and speculation, there are two real people navigating a complicated dynamic. The most intense moment of the reported meeting came when Dorit made the accusation. That's when the energy reportedly shifted. That's when emotions rose. And that shift says something. It suggests unresolved issues. It suggests fragile trust. It suggests that whatever healing has happened since their split may still be incomplete. Some fans have pointed out that Dorit may still care deeply about Paul's well-being. Concern can sometimes come out sideways, especially when layered with past hurt. Others believe that unresolved resentment could also play a role. There's also the possibility that this was simply a misunderstanding magnified by tension. Without direct statements from either of them, we're piecing together a story from fragments. But even fragments can reveal emotional intensity. Another angle to consider is timing. Why now? Was there a specific behavior that prompted Dorit's concern? Did something happen leading up to the meeting? Or was this a culmination of simmering worries? We don't have those answers yet. And until we do, everything remains speculation. Still, one thing feels clear: their relationship hasn't settled into neutral territory. When exes can sit down calmly and discuss life without sparks flying, that's often a sign of closure. But when tension resurfaces so quickly, it suggests emotional currents are still running strong. That doesn't mean reconciliation is inevitable. It doesn't mean permanent conflict either. It simply means the story isn't finished. And that's what keeps fans watching. Their on-again, off-again dynamic has long left viewers wondering whether they'll ever truly find resolution. Each interaction feels like it could tip the balance one way or the other. This meeting didn't bring clarity. It brought more questions. Is Dorit genuinely worried? Is Paul frustrated by lingering mistrust? Is this about alcohol at all, or about deeper fears of instability and history repeating itself? Sometimes accusations symbolize something bigger. Fear of being hurt again. Fear of losing control. Fear that past problems might resurface. And sometimes, two people simply trigger each other in ways they haven't fully unpacked. Until Dorit or Paul publicly addresses the situation directly, the narrative will continue to evolve through fan commentary and speculation. That's the nature of celebrity culture. But it's also worth remembering that behind the headlines are human beings dealing with complicated emotions. Whether this moment leads to further conflict, eventual clarity, or quiet resolution remains to be seen. What we do know is that fans are invested. The reactions have been passionate, divided, emotional, supportive on both sides. And that says something about how deeply audiences have followed this relationship journey. At the heart of it, this isn't just about an awkward meeting. It's about trust, history, perception, and the difficulty of fully untangling from someone who was once central to your life. Whatever the truth behind the drinking accusation may be, one thing is certain: Dorit and Paul's dynamic continues to evolve in real time. And until we hear more concrete information, all we can do is observe thoughtfully and respectfully. So what do you think? Was Dorit raising a legitimate concern? Was the accusation premature? Or is this just another complicated chapter in a relationship that refuses to fade quietly? Let me know your thoughts. And if you want to stay updated as this story develops, make sure you're following along for more reality TV updates and celebrity news. Thanks for the watching and subscribe.